Welcome to Hollywood Impact. Eric and Christian here in another edition of Stream It or Skip It.
And today we're talking about Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
It's Star Wars time. One of my favorite times of the year. I love Star Wars. Well, at least I used to. Yeah. We like to break these down usually in about 5 categories. And that goes the performances, the story, the music, the visuals, and the impact, which is something that's specific to us. So let's go ahead and start with the performances. How are the performances in the show?
Oh, I don't know, Christian.
That is not.
What do you want me to say here?
I want you to say that it's fine. It's good. They're kids.
We got Jude Law and we got 4 bratty kids.
Yeah, but Jude Law's good in this.
And he's okay. He's all right. He's good. And then you got like a pirate droid thing.
Yeah, Smee.
Yeah,
Smee. SM-33, which, come on, it's
Captain Hook's buddy, right?
That's literally what I was thinking of during the show, and I was like, that's kind of clever. So I liked it. But
I liked seeing Jude Law in Star Wars.
Yeah,
I mean he's a great actor. I think he did a good job here. I mean, there's nothing that was remarkable about what he did. I didn't think.
No, he just played your classic, like, will he, won't he sort of antagonistic
character. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he a Jedi? Is he not a Jedi? I think it's kind of
cool. I think that the kids, their performances are fair. I mean, they're kids for the most part. They really sell it to you that they live in like this little corner of their own world called At-Aden.
It reminded me of like if Earth was in Star Wars. That's what Earth would be like.
I think it's kind of cool. I think there's something neat about that.
They go to school and they ride bikes and stuff, but they don't have any real freedom. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
The one that bothered me just a little bit was Fern. Fern's performance was not. Now, I understand she's one of the kids, but her performance was a little bit stale. It didn't really draw me into her character, and by the end, I didn't really care as much for her. But I really liked Wim and Neil. I think their buddy sort of awkward friendship. The whole thing's very Goonies-like. I know it's gotten compared to that already.
Goonies in space with Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think it's fun.
Sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the kids, man, is you got to be careful. Like, things like Stranger Things. That cast was so good.
Very good. Very. Yes.
And it made me like, they're so good that I was willing to wait, decades between seasons. You know what I mean? With these 4 kids, no offense, kids, but there's nothing memorable about any of you.
Really?
Not really.
Oh, man, I disagree, man.
You got the elephant kid with a haircut.
He's just
whoopity-doo.
He's the awkward little kid who just wants to do good, and he's just kind of following
He's the
along.
Heart of the 4.
He's the
get
heart.
It. They all have the thing. You got Wim is the Luke from New Hope.
He's the adventurous one. He likes
whiny.
Jedi.
He wants to get off the planet. Da-da-da-da-da. You got the Fern, like you said.
Who's the tough, baddie one who can't show her feelings.
Yeah, she's kind of like the Han Solo-ish type, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. And then you got the one chick that's like, is she like a hybrid droid human? I don't even know. Yeah.
She's the smart one. She's the
smart one. And then the heart is Neil, which is fine.
I think it works well.
I mean, it reminded, like, it's like a Grogu. It's like they got to have like a Grogu type character where it's like, oh, it's so cute and whatever. And I'm like, here's like, hot take, Grogu is a little overrated. Like,
really?
For me. Baby Yoda, it's like, dude can do all the Force stuff and can flip around, but he can't even speak yet. I mean, come on, son.
But
you should be able to speak. And it's just like, yeah, Neil is probably my favorite of the 4, but the same time, it's like the skinniest kid at fat camp. It's like,
that's
whatever.
Tough. That's tough.
It's like, whatever,
that's
dude.
That's tough for him. Oh, no. That's tough. Oh, all right. Well, it's time to move on to the second category, and that is the story.
The story.
I like the story in here. I think it's fun. It's Goonies in space. It's really simple. It's not too complicated, and I think that that's good for this. I don't like it when Star Wars has tried to overcomplicate all their stuff, make a bunch of plot lines.
Sure.
I think this does a good job of you are following these characters who just want this. And side character may want this, but it all coincides. It all makes sense. And so while it's not the most like inventive story and while it's not the most original story, I think it works just fine for what it's doing, and so it's not offensive.
No, I think it's probably, of the categories we do, it's probably I would rank it the highest as far as story goes.
Yes.
Again, nothing crazy, like you said. The kids find a ship, they turn the ship on, they go far away, then they got to make their way back. Adventure ensues. I'm fine with that. You know, that's fine. But there's just, this didn't seem there was any consequence of anything.
I see.
You know, with the story.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they're in really dangerous situations, but they're kids, so you can't really put them in too much danger.
Yeah, I was never worried that we were going to lose any of the kids or anything like that.
But I think perhaps this might be a way to reintroduce people who've lost hope in Star Wars into something more, easy. It's not too offensive. It doesn't try to do too much. That part I get. And I think if I'm a kid, if I'm like 10 years old, this show's great. I think this show's really engaging. You can relate a lot to some of these kids. And Jude Law as the sort of antagonist type character, I think really sells it. He's intimidating without being, like scary, without doing too much. I think that the characterization across the board, I think is pretty solid. Yeah. And there's like a mystery surrounding their home planet at Haddon. That's kind of like the whole focus of the story. I think it's done well. I think it's not like superb, but done well enough to keep my interest.
I think it was fine. I mean, I think it was definitely geared towards kids. What I did like, I liked the introduction into like the pirate culture of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Like I remember in Empire Strikes Back, when we first meet Lando, he's like, "How you doing, Han, you old pirate?" Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a throwaway line probably, but like I don't mind seeing that aspect of Star Wars, pirates,
sure.
Star Wars pirates or whatever.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think that was kind of cool.
I agree.
Kind of cool.
Which is why you don't like it as much in here?
I just don't like the little kid stuff, man. It was good. Mm-hmm. Nothing was awfully bad. Nothing was great, and there's no consequences.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
It's like, yeah, it's a fine watch, but you could not watch it and be totally fine.
I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges here, but like you liked Moana too, but you don't like this?
Yeah, because Moana. Because Star Wars is just in it. It's like Marvel or DC. It's in its own separate thing. I expect a lot from Star Wars.
I see.
Because I like it so much.
Sure.
Moana, take it or leave it. Yeah, Moana 2 is good. It's a cartoon. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just expect more from Star Wars, and maybe I shouldn't, but I do.
Maybe you should lower your standards.
I know.
A little bit.
I'm telling you.
No, but I think that it's good for them to tell stories that don't have to revolve around all the Skywalkers and the Jedi stuff. There's some Jedi stuff in here, but it's not exactly what you think it is. And I like that it's just like a simpler pirate treasure story. I think that's interesting.
If they would market it as like this is a limited series, one season kind of deal, fine. But they don't, because they
leave the door open.
They leave the door open. They got to wait and see. I don't think there'll be a season 2. They spent way too much money on it, and I don't think enough people watched it. So now I'm left with, okay.
It's time for the next category, which is the music. The music is the weakest category here. There is a little bit of Star Wars-y stuff to this, but for the most part, there's nothing memorable.
No, it's pretty generic.
I can't think of a single piece of soundtrack or music from the show. I can't hear it. I can't picture it.
Sure,
nothing.
I agree.
Yeah. So, which I get it. Like, it doesn't have to have like this giant epic original score.
It can't always be John Williams,
right? But in a lot of fun kids films, they have iconic soundtracks to pair with them because that's what you grow up on, and you look back and you're like, oh, I loved this song from this movie I watched as a kid. It doesn't have that here, and I think that does knock it down just a little bit. But I think for the most part, like, yeah, it's underwhelming in the music category.
Yeah, Mando's got, little bits or whatever that I can hear in my head.
Yeah, and the theme song.
Yeah, and there's nothing with this. It's fine. But there's nothing that gives me goosebumps or anything like that, the way John Williams did in the movies. But
no, there's no pieces of music that enhance the experience.
Right.
And that does mark it down a little bit.
Yeah.
This is always usually like the shortest category to talk about, but it's just what it is.
Yeah.
But it's time for the visuals. The visuals are pretty good in here. A lot of practical effects.
I like that.
The big moments where they've used like ships and CGI, I think were done really well because they used a lot of practical stuff and they didn't have to use so much CGI that when they did use it, they could really go all in on it. And
Yeah.
I think it's pretty solid.
I think like most of the pirates, I think they used practical effects on. Like you got the
loved it.
Wolfman looking dude.
Yeah.
I was cool with that.
Yeah.
And the one planet they went to, like the spa planet.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, there were some cool visuals there.
The one that I can think of that I think is really good is later on in the series, kind of near the end. I'm not going to like spoil a whole bunch, but they're looking at like a hoard of treasure. And I think that the visual that they use in that moment is really awe-inspiring and just very massive. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, there's nothing that was out of
nothing too
place or that stuck out at me like, oh, nothing like that. Pretty, steady, good.
The impact. Do you see yourself rewatching this? Is there anything?
No.
No? Really? Not at all?
No, even if, like, I was thinking about that, even if they did a season 2, I'd be okay with just the recap of this season.
Okay.
When I'm watching this, I was excited at first about it, and I thought the first couple episodes were good, but I never found myself like, I can't wait till the next episode drops. You know what I mean? And I don't know where they could even go with a season 2. These kids
that is true.
The way they spread out these seasons, it'll be 7 years if they did. And
Yeah.
these kids will all be older, so you can't do the kids. If they geared more with Jude Law and kind of the pirate aspect of it, I would probably check that out.
Sure.
But am I going to rewatch this? No. There's way too much content out there that I think is better and worth seeing than rewatching this. Like, there was
That's tough.
on Disney Plus, there's these old in the 80s, there were these Ewok little movies. Do you ever see any of those on? Okay, well, they're not any good.
Okay.
And
That's what I figured.
they are completely inconsequential to anything.
Of course. Yes.
Like I would prefer to watch The Acolyte again than watch this.
Really?
Because I think The Acolyte, a few tweaks here and there, I think would have been really good. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we're getting a second season of that.
Yeah.
But this show was fine, but whatever. I just didn't find myself caring.
I slightly disagree, but I think there's merit to what you're saying. I think it would be, unless you're really into the show, it's going to be hard to rewatch this show. And it's not like it leaves you with this epic feeling of wow, that was so good. For me, I was like, I liked it. I think it's cute. I think it's good. I think kids will enjoy it. And I think that's fine for what it is. But it's not trying to do or say anything too much. And that is both a good thing and a bad thing because it's not so dramatic that you're thinking about it all the time. Like, wow, I really loved episode blank of Skeleton Crew. Like, no, you're not really thinking that. And sometimes a lot of the episodes blur together because in some cases the action is kind of up and down, but it's not about the action. It's not about the spectacle. It's about the journey. And that's what I liked about it.
You know what I think, Christian?
Well, what do you think?
Now, listen, this is not a political podcast, right?
It's not. Yeah,
so
correct.
everybody can just relax here. I want Trump to go full FAFO on Disney and issue an executive order to listen, Disney, get your shit together with Star Wars and just make it happen. Just fix it.
Yeah.
Because it's because I am so fond of the franchise itself. I just want good stuff again.
Yeah.
I want stuff of consequence. I want some, connection to the whole universe. It doesn't all have to be Skywalkers and Jedi. You can still do that with Mando, but I want and I expect more from Star Wars than what we're getting.
I see.
And I'm tired of it.
I'm sorry. I feel bad.
Well,
I feel bad. It has nothing to do with me, and I feel bad. I feel bad for people out there who feel like that Star Wars is just on such a decline because of how cool it is and how much potential it has. Could you imagine if Trump signed an executive order and he's like, with this order, I promise that Skeleton Crew will be great again. I promise you.
Bring back the Jedi. They're gonna be fantastic.
Make
Jedi.
the Republic great again. I would love that.
Yeah.
The only real executive order I need in my life. We're executing order not 66 but 67, and 67 brings back Star Wars. Brings it back so good.
But they've done such good, like with Andor.
Andor's a great
Andor
show.
is solid, and the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian were so good. I liked Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, but let's get back into that stuff rather than give me Space Goonies. I don't need Space Goonies.
I like Space Goonies.
I don't care about it.
I mean,
I don't want Space Goonies.
quite frankly,
Get them out of here. We're sending them back. They're on a plane right now. Going back, they're going to stay in Manhattan. Putting the barrier back.
That is awesome. I love that. Now
we're going to build the barrier again. I'll stop.
I think it's so funny. But here's the part that I'm not excited for now, because we've gone up to this point.
Yeah.
Our conclusion. Should you stream it or skip it? What do you say?
Skip it.
Dang,
Skip it.
I knew it was coming. I'm sure you all did too.
Listen, it's not
it's
not bad, but it's not super good either. It's fine. That's what it is. It's fine. You want to carve out 8 episodes or whatever and watch it. You like Star Wars? Great. I think you can skip it, and whatever the next thing is not going to matter. You won't need to have watched this. It's fine. But I think there's a lot more other content. There's so much content that I think there's better things out there to spend your time watching.
I say stream it. I say it's fun. I'd say it's worth at least one watch. Watch it with your kids. It's a good family time. If you got like some young kids and they haven't seen much of Star Wars, show them this. I think it's more niche. That may be the problem, is that it's so niche that I don't think this is broad enough for everyone to enjoy it. But for those of you who did not like The Acolyte and you were mad about the things that it did, watch this one, because this one is inoffensive. It doesn't do too much. It's not spectacular, but it does just enough to not piss anybody off. And I think it deserves merit for that. So
2 different perspectives.
So for this, it's going to be split right down the middle, and it really leaves it up to you who you want to listen to.
Well, hey, you can let us know. Like, comment, send those comments in. Let us know who's on the right side of this.
Absolutely. This is fun. I like this. This is very fun. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, we will see you all later.
See you guys.